The scripture lesson for today is found in Isaiah 56, 1 through 8. This passage is technically a prophetic oracle or poem. It was written in the latter part of the exile, probably around 533 BCE, and was written to the entire Jewish community. At that time, the Hebrew people had been in captivity for a number of years, and apparently some in the group had been proselytizing and bringing into their fellowship eunuchs and foreigners. The Jewish leaders and some strict observers of the law were having problems with these newcomers. So the prophet Isaiah addressed the issue in this passage. It begins with a blessing, basically saying, "Blessed are you if you keep justice, keep righteousness, keep the Sabbath." And keeping the Sabbath was keeping the laws of Moses to the Jewish people, which is such an integral part of their faith. But the next verses added a new dimension into the Jewish community of faith, accepting and treating as equals the eunuchs and the foreigners. Eunuchs in this passage probably meant young males who had been mutilated by the conquerors. To the Jewish mind, these people were not welcome to worship with them because they were not whole. In today's terminology, eunuchs could be interpreted as our LGBTQ community. The prophet speaks to their inclusion in the Jewish faith if they keep justice, keep righteousness, and keep the Sabbath. Aliens or foreigners, and in our terminology today, immigrants, were not welcome to worship with the Jews because they were different. They were not part of the chosen race. They were unacceptable to the strict followers of Jewish law. Again, the prophet speaks of their inclusion in the Jewish community, a new concept in this exiled group. The prophet concludes that God created all people and loves all people, and the Jewish community must be just in their dealings with these people. The prophet says, "The church that rules, that its members be of one race or color or class, is in danger of refusing to accept as brothers and sisters those whom God accepted as sons and daughters." While the Jewish community in exile struggle with inclusion of different people in their faith community, we also struggle with similar issues today. Many of our people resist worshiping with people in the gay community. Because these people are different, we assume they must be sinful. We resist accepting them into our churches because, in the understanding of the ancient Hebrews, we feel they're not whole. The prophet's warning to us today is that we tend to exclude the entire gay community not because they're another race, another color, or another class, but because they're different. By refusing them in our churches, we are refusing God's sons and daughters. Immigrants, or foreigners, are a hot topic in our news today. We've witnessed throngs of people trying to get into our country. We've spent millions of dollars trying to keep them out of America. And we have tried everything imaginable to get rid of these people who are so different from us. They speak different languages, they worship in different ways, and they have different color skin. The African American people can also be included in the ones who are different. We say, we didn't realize all the injustices that they endure. It's just not something we think about. But because they have been disenfranchised, abused, and cruelly treated ever since They have been brought into our country as slaves. The time has come for us as Christians to keep justice. It's time for us to find solutions that would help all these people who are different to feel welcome in our Christian communities in our country. In a recent editorial in the Cherokee Ledger, Rebecca Johnston said, "While the Jim Crow laws are no more, their demise has not brought about full integration or acceptance. That can never happen until each of us, as Christians and Americans, look deep within our hearts and attempt to eradicate any hint of prejudice we find there." All this reminds me of the story of Jesus and the healing of the 10 lepers. Jesus felt compassion for these men, and he healed them all. But one of these 10 was a Samaritan, a member of a disenfranchised group in Jesus' day. Jesus had probably read this passage in Isaiah. He understood that God accepts all men and women as his children, and as the Son of God, Jesus acted accordingly. As followers of Jesus, should we not all do the same? Another appropriate passage in the Old Testament speaks to this issue. It is from Micah 6:8. "What does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God?" May it be so in our country today.